morning, good afternoon, where you guys are joined in. Welcome to another episode of Watercolor Instructions with me, Sunil. Today I'm going to do another cityscapes. We will see how it goes, and I'm trying to do under 30 minutes. It feels like that's a good amount of time for you to try out a watercolor. Again, doesn't matter what the subject is. I try to do it in 4 steps. Step 1, the drawing. Step 2 is the first wash. Step 3 is your highlights or your shadows. Your shadows, and step 4 is your highlights. Okay, 4 steps. Doesn't matter what the complex subject is. It could be landscape, portraits, you name it. You can try to think in terms of 4 steps. If the drawing doesn't look good, stop, and then you can try out, erase it, make sure the drawing is correct before you can go to the next step. And every step is like a milestone, making sure that it is correct before you can carry on with that one. Okay, so while it's recording, I'm just bear with me for a second. Okay, so to start with, again, for what you can see is a 1/8 sheet. So it's a small painting, but I've used a little bit of a piece of plywood or a piece of wood, so that it gives me a little bit of angle, so that it is gravity is your friend, so that it's easy to control the water than to go all over the place and then make a mess of it. So I'm going to use a 6B pencil. 6B, it's soft, and then you can try to do that one. So this one is a scene from Prague. So again, so we are looking at top half horizon. So you're trying to think about a horizon, and we will see how it is. Again, my drawings are a little economical. I just want some details, but not so much details that it will kind of bog into. This is again a quick study for you guys to try it. Okay, I'm going to come in somewhere over here, making sure the perspective is correct, and making sure the perspective is correct. We'll do till here. Okay, so that is your perspective going in, and at this stage I'm just blocking in, so maybe that's where the first step is, and that's where your second. And then let's see, so there is a bridge, and goes all the way, and then there is a statue, just again perspective, so that it stops there, and it kind of mimics that style. Okay, so and over here there's that arch. The arch comes over here. So again, perspective comes over here, and some details, and then there is this tower. Okay, so that's your bridge. There's a couple of street lights. And we're going over here. There's some trees and the main building, the dome. The shape needs to be correct. Okay, and that much, and that's your water body. Maybe we will put in a boat. people catching fish, maybe. Okay. That's the scene what we're trying to do, a little bit of reflection, and again the reflection of the mirror image of those kind of things, and the reflection of these things. So that is a good painting. Again, most of the thing is negative painting, and then we can go from there. So to start with, we just use a mop. So we're going to just use a mop. This one again is a medium mop, synthetic. I haven't taken out the colors. Let me just adjust, sorry. If there's some more space, I'm going to just move this a little closer so that you can see all the thickness. Yep, much better. With the camera. Alright, so simple mop. I'm just going to use a little bit of leftover red here and a little bit of lavender. So I'm just putting in some Algerian, so a little bit of blue and a little bit of lavender. I'm just going to go a nice lavender purple sort of a color. I'm just continuing again. Keep in mind this is just a wash. And then while it's still sort of wet, I'm just picking some olive green. I'm putting in some green while it's still wet. Okay, it's still the first wash. I will add a little bit of shadow. Okay, this is, I'm going to use some burnt sienna for the bank. And I'm going to continue with some blues. So blue and gray. That's the color I'm going to use over here. And for the rest, I might go a little bit of turquoise. Again, keeping it light. Keep in mind, this is step 2. I'm coming in with filling in some colors. But there's still a method to the madness. I'm going to use a slightly bigger brush, but this one is alright. And at the bottom, I'm just going to add a little bit of gray. So there is a little more darker tones. Over here. As we come down, there is a little bit of light, and then there's a little more dark. And I think I want to just get a little bit of light in this area. So I might, while it's still wet, I'm going to just pick up some areas which is a little more white over there. Okay, so a little bit of white. It's easier to just use a little bit of tissue, or you can be careful about painting. So I feel the easiest way is to, while it's still wet, to just pick up some color. And that way you get a little bit of light here, and there is still a little bit of gradient left. Okay, so step 2 is complete. Step 1 drawing, step 2 is the wash. We can close from there. So I'm going to switch to smaller calligraphy brush. Okay, the mop has done its job. I'm just going to switch in a couple of brush. I might come back. So let's do the bridge first. The bridge, again, the color is like a patina, so I'm just using a little bit of green, a little bit of ultramarine, that base tone, and then I'm going to add some Payne's gray. I'm going to just check how the color looks. Okay, I'm going to add a little bit of Alzarian. Yeah, I'm okay with that color. We can continue. Paying a little bit of attention to details. And I'm just adding a little bit of burnt sienna, just changing the little bit of the tonal value. So there's a gate. And I'm going to come in. So a little more dark tones here. Again, a little dark here. And a little lighter on the other side. I will come and beef up the colors where it was dark, but at this stage I'm happy to just come in with some dry brush stroke, and then I will beef up the place. So, but I'm just trying to fill in the colors. Okay. So we are continuing a little more on the other side. Okay, that's your kind of bridge, the first step. We'll come in, add some more details. Now let's deal with the buildings while we are still on it. So I'm just using a little bit of Alzarian, very light with some burnt sienna. We don't need it to be very dark. So the focal point in this one is the bridge. So the rest kind of blends into the background. So the dome, I'm just paying a little more attention on the dome. It gets a little dark. So couple of places I'm just changing the tonal values. And I will add a hint of red for the building on the side. And that one is a little too pink. Okay, so a couple of places I'm going to just add shadows. And now let's just treat the tree a little bit. Yeah, and while it's still wet, I'm going to just use a palette knife. Maybe a couple of scratch marks. Something's going on. And now let's get some darker tones here. So shadows. Some blood sienna. And we'll slowly build the shadow for the lake. A little lighter. Yeah, probably that tone. So we're just trying to think about the shape. Kind of continuous. And then also that particular shape. We will make it a little more dark here. So continue with the shadow. And a couple of shadows here. Okay, while that one is drying, I think I'm going to finish the boat. We'll add some color and some shadows. And let's work on the sculpture and some details. Okay, so I'm just squinting my eyes just to check if all the details are correct. I might add a couple more reflection for this building. Okay, and some shadows just under where it meets over here. So the boat. Okay. And maybe make it a little more dark over here. while this one is still a little wet, I'm going to just try to see if I can scratch a couple of marks. Okay, and now let's just add the light bulb, if I can find the smaller brush. So, a couple of details. Maybe a couple of people standing here. A couple of places of small shadows. Oh, that one's too dark. Okay, and the windows, I will just add a little bit of lavender. So that it just sits there, and also a couple of highlights. I'm just at the moment I'm just adding some details, just to make it a little more bridge-like. Okay, at this stage I'm going to quickly dry and then add some white highlights, and then that should complete the painting. So I've done the step 3. Okay, let me just grab some white. So other thing, when I try to do white, I generally use a gouache, because the watercolor white is a little transparent. So I think a gouache is a better fit for these sort of things. Okay, so I'm just picking up some gouache white and adding a couple of details in the street. There might be a little bit of white catching on the top here. There's a rod, and I'm going to just put in a couple of faces. And the board needs a What else? So I do a couple of fog. Maybe there's a couple of places there's a little more mist going. There's a little bit of fog. Early in the morning sort of thing. I'm just using the finger to do that. Okay, I think that should do. It's less than 30 minutes sort of a painting. Let me just put a signature. And let's reveal the painting. So less than 30 odd minutes. It's a simple painting, but mainly if you're interested, what you should be trying to do is look at the composition of how this came to be. Yeah, I hope you give it a try, and then if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. doesn't take anything from you, but it will have a big impact on a small artist like me. Give it a try, and this is what you can get out of 30 odd minutes. I hope you liked it. I will see you again in the next video. Cheers and bye.